Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, you're going to see an incredible endgame puzzle. This puzzle looks simple, but it is quite challenging. So give it a second, see if you can find the basic idea. White's pawns are going up the board here, and Black's king is stalemated on the A1 square. The only thing that Black can move right now is this Rook on C7. So think about that as a hint, and try to see if you can figure out how to proceed here as White. While you're considering the options, let me encourage you to subscribe if you have not yet already. Half of the income that we earn in this channel goes directly to charity, so every like, every subscriber helps us out so much. Let's get to it now. So the basic idea is to recognize, as I mentioned, Black's king is stalemated. So if you don't act quickly, it's going to lead to a draw. For example, you play h7, maybe you're trying to go for this diagonal checkmate. They can take this, or they can stalemate themselves by going here or here. If they take this, just as an example, whatever they do next, let's just say you promote, doesn't really matter. The queen's just gonna, the rook is just gonna give themselves up, and you're gonna run around, and no matter what happens, it's going to be a draw, because if you take this, it's going to be stalemate, right? That's the basic idea of the whole puzzle. So you're trying to avoid stalemate as White. And you should realize pretty quickly that if you promote to a queen, this is kind of a problem, because Black can check you in two different directions, and they're both going to lead to stalemate. Rook c1, just to show a sample line. Let's say your intuition is just run up the board like that. That's a good idea, but they check you, and you keep, let's just say you keep running toward them. There are lots of moves here, so feel free to play with it if you want. But let's just say you run up the board. They can keep checking you this way, that way. They're both draws. Maybe you're thinking about being really clever and setting yourself up. Something like, let's see, it's Black's move. Something like this, with the hope that you can check and they can take you. Yeah, they can do that, but your queen is now the one stalemating the king. So even if they do that, this move is not doing anything. They keep walking up, and you can keep checking them as Black. Even this, right? There's no harm, because if you take it with any of the pieces, it's going to be stalemate. Right? I hope you see that that is a central idea that you're trying to avoid here. So you might ask yourself, okay, fine, I can't promote to a queen. What if I promote to a knight? That's nice. We like puzzles. Puzzles, you always promote to a knight, right? It's like the rule of thumb. Good idea. Doesn't quite work. Rook h7 is a good start, and they're looking to essentially do the same thing. They're trying to stalemate themselves, or they're trying to get out of here and then push this pawn, in which case you'll have to give up your rook. So what do you do as White here? I don't know. Maybe you say, I'm going to protect this pawn. I'm going to go run up the board. They can take this. You take king b2. They're pushing this through. The best you have is just checking them. If you walk away from the pawn, they'll attack the pawn, right? This is the back and forth. I'm saying they, but it's back and forth, right? Okay. So you can't promote to a queen, and you can't promote to a knight. Let's just go down the list here. What about a rook? Well, the rook is kind of serving the same function as a queen, right? It's going to block off this b file. You don't want that, because the idea is that you want to be able, as White, to run around these checks and hopefully one day get out. Okay, that leads us to only one piece, which is the bishop. And this is the first move. This is an incredible first move. b8 equals bishop, and it does something that the queen cannot do, which is quite paradoxical, right? It's a less powerful piece, but it does something. What does it do? Well, it allows the king to move off this file if this rook were to move. So in some way, the lack of an ability is actually the strength, right? By this rook not being here, this bishop is no longer impeding on the king. That's a good thing. Okay, so now you might wonder, what happens if they check you like before on either c1 or g7? I'm going to show you the study as it was composed. You can play with the different lines as you want them. It's all kind of the same stuff, but let's go through the lines. So rook g7, obviously you cannot take this with the pawn because it'll be stalemate. Your rook is still here. So you move your king. Great. They check you again on g2. You move your king. You have to just run away. They check you again. You can't take it at any point. Okay, you go up the board. They check you again. You run up the board. And you might notice there's a pattern here. So right now, you can't take it with the bishop for the same reason why you couldn't take it with the king. The rook is being blocked off. But it looks like the king is going somewhere. Where's the king going? They play rook b5. So now, ask yourself, if they take here, what happens? Is this a win? Well, yes, it would be. After king takes b6, they're going to move out of the way because they want, like that's their only legal move, right? They have one of two legal moves, 1, 2. And no matter what they do, you're going to play the bishop here, you're going to take that pawn, you're going to promote yours, and you'll win. So black cannot, even though they have the option here, they cannot exchange rooks. That's the idea. Cool. They play rook b5, or sorry, white plays rook b5. I'm saying we play rook b5 because we're the white pieces in this puzzle. They keep checking you. Great. Rook d5 check. Now the king is trying to run away here. Maybe they're going to do a little ring around the rosy. Let's see. Rook a5 check. You only have 2 legal moves. You take the rook or not. If you take the rook, it's a draw. So you keep fighting on. Now here's where it's starting to get fancy. After the check, and you run away, and another check, and you run away, you might see the idea right in this move. King e6. Now the idea is you're setting a little trap. If they check you on e5, that would be a terrible mistake because now I can take you with the bishop with checkmate. Isn't that kind of crazy? You ran your king all the way around to set this trap. Okay, well they don't do that. Instead, they play rook h5. And you might say, wait a second, why would they do that? Well, they have no sensible checks here. If they check you here, you can just take this. You're no longer blocking away their piece. This is where the bishop is a good thing and the queen was a bad thing, right? That's the idea. So they play rook h5, and the idea is that they're going to, if you do something, I don't know, if you play here, they take this, and now it's stalemate, just like before. So they're kind of setting a trap for you. Of course, they want to threaten this and take your rook if you're not careful. But what do? There are a lot of ways to win from here, but I think, as I said, I'll just go with the study line. So king d7, getting out of the way and allowing for this cycle to repeat. What do I mean by that? Well, they have nothing really to do here, so they move. They can't take this because, just in case I should say that, if they do you take here? Well, you could, but really the better way is just mate. Right? You have mate in one, you might as well play it. You could win the other way. You could win by doing this. That's not as fun. Okay, mate in one ends the game. Might as well play that. So after you play king d7, the best they have in the engine line, whatever you want to call it, the study line, rook g5. And you might say, okay, what's wrong with that? Well, now white is going to push this pawn and try to threaten this direction. So you say, okay, h7, let's go for it. Because I'm obviously able to run around. What's the problem with this? Let's do it again. And that's exactly what happens. And that's what's so cool about this study. Rook g7 check. You run the king around. Check. You run the king around, and look, it's the same pattern. Now, what's the point? Well, watch the ending. The ending is the cool part. You move the king to e6 again, and we're in the same configuration where they can't check you, because if they do, well, you'll take it with mate. So they can't do that. Instead, they have to find a waiting move. And here, come on, this is just style points. This is just pure style points. Promote to a bishop. Ooh, that hurts. Now you have to take it, or I guess you don't have to. You could block. Maybe that looks cooler. What do you think? Let me know. What do you think? Do you think this looks cooler? The double bishop? Or do you think it looks cooler for them to take and you get this final position of bishop e5 mate? And look at that. Centralized bishop, hitting both corners. Super, super cool puzzle. Just really quickly, I think it's cool to see it. I'm just going to hit the play button. You'll see the way it works. You're just running your king around, right? The idea is you're running your king, avoiding these checks, avoiding stalemate, but the way you can walk around your own rook and then create the situation where you can get that h-pawn promoted It is so cool. I've never seen something like this. I love when people promote to bishops instead of queens. Just a crazy idea. But yeah, that is pretty much the puzzle. I'll let this play out until the end. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. As I mentioned, it helps us out so much. We've already given $1,100 to charity. So thank you for everybody who is subscribed. But yeah, that is it for now. Thank you so much. Bye.